Even though everything looks very realistic, there's a lot of CGI in The Witcher show. From entire cities to the detailing of grass and magical elements. Welcome to Cracklex, and today in this video we take a look at it all. Let's get started. Number 1. The scenes that follow are both figuratively and literally quite hot. One of those elements that is certainly difficult to create without special effects is magic, and these scenes are no exception. A lot of CGI techniques, VFX effects, and layers were applied on top of each other to create this a fantastic image. In many cases, fire stunts are created using a variety of layers, much like a puzzle that comes together to form a picture. However, in this scene, everything was simply layered together. It actually makes sense, so why didn't we come up with it earlier? You can immediately see how much effort was put into creating the fireballs and the fire itself in general if you watch these scenes a few times. Number 2. A surprising number of practical effects were used in the making of Nivellen for the movie, as opposed to other instances in which CGI was mostly used. The team dressed the actor in full costume and restricted the use of CGI to improving his face instead of relying on digital effects to make the character and his facial expressions come to life. Christopher Hibbier, who portrayed Nivellen, was especially happy that his eyes were not changed in post-production and remained as they were in the actual footage. Because animals are frequently portrayed with either no emotion at all or poorly made emotion, the choice to use a combination of practical and digital effects was logical. However, the team had to make sure that Nivellen's facial expressions were accurately portrayed on screen, so they decided to use a combination of real-world and digital effects to create a compelling and visually stunning character that would accurately represent the character's true emotions. Number 3. Nobody was surprised when they discovered that the training scenes also made use of green screens. Later, a spot on top of the mountain with special effects would be used to cover up this unattractive green screen. Additionally, green ropes were used in the scene for more realistic movement and were not only used to change the background, but were also much easier to edit in post-production than black ones. Interesting how it turned out that, despite the apparent action in the scene, Freya Allen only pretended to dodge. All the magic that made it appear as though she had dodged was added in post-production. Number 4. The scene from the first episode of The Witcher is impressive because the main actor performed all the stunts himself without using any effects. To make the scene more dynamic, the actor used only half of his sword, which allowed him to perform several cool and risky moves in one take. According to the actor, shooting with a half sword was more comfortable and didn't hinder his movements. True, the other actors had a hard time. Their weapons were perfectly matched with the invisible half sword, but the result was worth it. Overall, the use of two halves was more effective than one, and it made the scene special and more dynamic. Number 5. The irony is that everything about nature in this film is scenes that are not real. The forest was created by layering to make it as realistic as possible and at some points to bring it to life. Even Geralt and Rote's horse isn't real, and it's time to wonder what is real in these scenes. What is impressive is that the posada, which is located in Budapest, has been completely modeled from scratch using computer graphics. According to VFX supervisor Julian Perry, almost every minute of the Witcher series is a visual treat that was created with a lot of hard work and copious amounts of work, and of course, as you have already guessed, it took CGI and VFX to do it. It is interesting that the shooting took place in Budapest in winter, and it was quite difficult to find a good location, so they decided to do most of the scenes with CGI because CGI isn't afraid of the weather. Number 6. If you think about it, you can assume that the creatures in the movie were also made with CGI and VFX. But really, it's true. If nature was made with computer graphics, then these creatures were certainly made with CGI and VFX. But it's worth saying that in the scenes with these creatures you have to pay attention to the actors who had to act as if they were being attacked, and you have to do it in a realistic way. Number 7. The filmmakers may have used smoke machines and fans to simulate a man blowing smoke through the forest. After performing in front of a green screen, CGI and VFX may have added the smoke and forest environment. The scene could have been shot on location with real smoke in the forest environment, then enhanced with CGI and VFX in post-production to create a more dramatic effect. Number 8. We are able to say that this scene was entirely created through the use of computer graphics, with the exception of the horses. In reality, the horses and characters were filmed against a green screen, and then, with the help of visual effects and computer-generated imagery, VFX and CGI, they were successfully integrated into a world that had already been designed and created. This is a fantastic illustration of how technology is revolutionizing the film industry and making it possible for filmmakers to create entire worlds that were previously unable to be brought to life on screen. It is incredible to think about how far we have come in terms of visual effects, and it is very exciting to speculate about where the industry is headed in the years to come. Number 9. To create most of the scenes, CGI was used in the green background on which everything happened. In the battle with the dragon, ropes were used to create a more realistic impact of the creature. It is worth noting that the ropes in turn were green to simplify the work of the team in the future post-production. For the visual effects, the filmmakers created a 3D model of the dragon and the castle in a computer graphics program, which could then be animated and composited into live-action footage. Overall, creating a complex battle scene with a dragon and a castle in a winter environment would have required a lot of skill and resources from the visual effects team. Number 10. Additionally, if you combine all the scenes, you will notice how much effort the filmmakers put into the smallest of details, like grass, cliffs, and all kinds of living things. Take for instance the mushrooms. Here we can see how the creators crafted them. Similarly, over here, the face was created using several layers to make it as realistic as possible. Number 11. Care and attention to every detail are required when creating CGI dragons. The layers easily compensate for the dragon's apparent lack of detail, despite what some people may think. The layers, which include the skin, muscle, and bone structure, show that the creators didn't skip a beat. Some might counter that it is a little too vague. Number 12. In this scene, I noticed the extensive use of computer imagery in creating armies for scenes in the film. They joke that since there are so few real people in the movie, CGI effects will be needed for the armies. How did the creators manage to make so many intricate details for each tiny computer-generated soldier? Number 13. If we turn people into trees, we could solve the problem of climate change. All the vines growing from his head are CGI magic. The character himself, played by Leshy, has been completely disguised by various makeup techniques. However, despite the incredible makeup, it is the vines growing out of his head that truly bring Leshy to life. And along with the CGI magic, which he had on his shoulders, the scene seems quite realistic and dynamic. Were you familiar with the creature that feeds on nightmares? That's right, it's Striga. Although the character as a whole required a mixture of CGI, the entire costume was made with different makeup techniques, including a dangling umbilical cord. For some of the stunts that were difficult to pull off, the character was created entirely out of special effects. In fact, for the CGI effects, designers had the writers set the scene so that it was easier to mix CGI with the real effects. And the actors decided to have a blast. The roles of these characters were played by actors like Becky Wright. She played the human form, and the other two artists played the creature itself. That's right, to create this creature, the team needed 3 people who together could recreate this creature. Well, here we are until the final part of the video. Thank you very much for being here and watch it. Write in the comment what effect did you find most interesting. And like this video if you like it, sure. Thanks again for watching and see you soon.